Well, this morning we could find out the names of the Albuquerque police officers involved in the department's latest shooting.
The chief says 4 officers are now on paid leave. Only one of them fired at the man that police say had a violent past and a gun. It happened at this apartment building near 60th and Central Tuesday night. Witnesses were reporting that 30-year-old Alfred Redwine was threatening 2 teens with a gun. Chief Gordon Eden says Redwine came out onto the porch holding a gun to his head and yelling something about his son. Cell phone video showed Redwine holding an object to his head and lowering it before shots rang out. Well, yesterday, APD released limited lapel video from the incident.
Put the gun down, please. Stop it, remember?
The armed suspect did in fact discharge his firearm. At least one officer fired his rifle.
Chief Eden refused to give any more details, including when exactly Redwine pointed the weapon, saying witnesses still need to be interviewed. Redwine's sister claims her brother was lowering his gun and not threatening officers. Redwine had a long criminal history, including arrests involving assaulting an APD officer and at one point pointing a gun at a woman.
Investigators from the Department of Justice met with family members of people shot by police and community activists behind closed doors yesterday. And that's where we are told it was disclosed the FBI is now looking into the deadly shooting of the homeless camper in the foothills. That is the one that set off a firestorm of outrage.
I think everyone who sees that video is just horrified. I mean, this man was simply camping. The bottom line is he did not have to die. There could have been other means used rather than deadly force.
Police shot James Boyd after a long standoff in the foothills on Sunday, March 16th. Video here from a police helmet cam appears to show Boyd turning around when 2 officers start shooting. Chief Eden says Boyd directly threatened a K-9 officer with a knife. Federal investigators from both Washington, D.C. and Albuquerque listened in on yesterday's meeting as activists aired their concerns with Boyd's death. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice also says it's wrapping up its investigation into APD. The department has now racked up a series of 23 deadly shootings since 2010. The feds are not offering any details of their findings just yet.
I'll submit probably the next couple of months. I think they're waiting for some of the other trials to finish and some of the other cases that families have filed complaints.
Activists also handed the federal government a list of 14 things they want the city to do, which includes having the Department of Justice actually take over APD. The same list will be presented to the City Council on April 7th. Well, Mayor R.J. Berry has also asked the Las Cruces Police Department to investigate the shooting here of James Boyd. But according to the Las Cruces Sun News this morning, the police department's deputy chief, Shannon Martin, told APD Las Cruces will not be part of that investigation. The article says the department down there based their decision on 2 things. They were not at the scene, and there are already several agencies helping out into the investigation. Mayor Berry asked Las Cruces Police to help out because of its size and distance from Albuquerque.
The New Mexico Attorney General's office announced it will investigate both APD shootings. Gary King, who is running for governor, says his office will give an unbiased assessment of James Boyd's death and the death of Alfred Redwine. Also, Albuquerque Mayor R.J. Berry has asked the Las Cruces Police Department to conduct an independent investigation into the Boyd shooting. We'll continue, of course, to follow the APD shootings and the federal investigation into the department at KRQE, both on air and online. In fact, you can view yesterday's press conference in its entirety at krqe.com. Some parents in Rio Rancho are worried about their kids' safety along a popular walking spot that is eroding. It's a section of a popular trail used by kids and adults off Meadows and King Boulevard. Now, the trail is used every day by students getting to the bus or adults going out for a run or walk. But residents say the damage is something that can turn into being something very dangerous. And you can see why. There's a steep drop to this trail that has some parents worried. The rocks are sharp and the asphalt is crumbling. City officials say the damage is the result of monsoon rains back in September.
What I'm afraid of is that a child or even an adult might fall in just not realizing where they're running or walking into.
Our Samantha McDonald brought that concern to the city, and they came out to assess the area and decided it needed work as soon as possible, and it won't cost much, apparently.
What we'll want to do is actually replace some of the dirt that's been lost along the trail side and stabilize that so that if we do get additional rains, it's not going to, tear up the trail.
Officials say the work won't take long to fix, but a date has not been set on when to fix it. They plan on coming up with a long-term plan to prevent more damage from happening from future floods. Also, we should mention that city officials are warning residents in the meantime to be careful in that area until it's fixed up. We will keep you posted on the progress and the plans right here on KRQE News 13.
506, if you've got an opinion or just want to know about what's in the works for Albuquerque's Uptown area, go check out a public meeting tonight at 6:30 at Inez Elementary. Among the proposed changes that could be headed to the area, a transformation of the transit center south of Coronado into a development including housing and shops.
We'd like to have some residential development there, not only for individuals, as I said, to take transit, but also to avail themselves of the shopping and business opportunities in the Uptown area.
ABQ Ride says any development would keep the current transit hub right where it is. Well, developers of Winrock insist this time it's really going to happen and want to open up the shopping center in 2016. Goodman Realty Group says demolition of the old shopping mall could start later this year and construction of the new one next year. The original grand plans here for Winrock got stalled by the recession years ago. Now there are plans to bring in, get this, a Nordstrom Rack, Liz, calm yourself, a DSW, and a Nike Town store, along with condos, offices, a boutique hotel, and a courtyard with a lake or a pond. This is what it could look like.
God, that is beautiful, let me tell you.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
My goodness.
Sure.
How exciting.
Yeah, economy's got to stay strong. They've really got to get on this. And then there's also the whole issue of the H&M store.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Coronado says maybe we're getting one. Remember, it was like in a drawing that they released, and then they took the H&M out of it. A lot of people are hoping for that, too.
We'll keep it posted.